work session, we had a council and most of our department heads up here for a work session, our regular scheduled council meeting will begin at 6:30. So I'll start with Brian first.
Yes, sir. The one thing I was going to point out that's on the agenda tonight is that we have a resolution basically authorizing the intention of council to join with Chilton County in prosecuting claims and actions against a certain racing Htown event ring. I forget the full name, but we'll just call it Htown. This is something that Chilton County initiated with their attorney, a gentleman by the name of Ben Goldman, and he had reached out to, I think that Chilton County's law enforcement had actually reached out to Chief, and their attorney had reached out to me. So we had, this is something that Chilton County's already filed, and they are prosecuting, but they want to ask the council if y'all will authorize their council to represent Calera's interest in that as well. And I just wanted to turn it over to Chief for a second to kind of remind you of some of the issues that were discussed and why Chilton County came to us about that issue. Chief, if you could remind the council.
Yeah, Chilton County Sheriff approached me a few weeks ago. I can't remember the exact time frame, but was asking about incidents we have had related to vehicles leaving that venue. And we have had at least 3 different pursuits that were initiated by other agencies that came into our town and affected us. The first was a vehicle that had been stolen out of Atlanta that was running at a high rate of speed, came into our jurisdiction, and the individual wrecked and ran in the woods, got away. The vehicle, like I said, had been stolen out of Atlanta. The next one was 2 vehicles that were being pursued by Shelby County Sheriff's Department. If you remember, this was in the news quite a bit. One of the vehicles headed south and came into Calera and hit our guardrail and then crashed into a house, ran into a citizen's air conditioner unit. The other vehicle split off and headed north, being pursued by Shelby County along with other agencies, and caused a fatal accident where a young man was killed and a young lady was severely injured. And then most recently we had an incident where a vehicle was being pursued by Shelby County, came down 25, and if you remember, our officer, one of our young officers, attempted to block the vehicle to keep it from getting on the interstate, and they hit head on. It totaled our vehicle. And if you remember that incident, there was a child that was not the child of the people driving the vehicle that was in that car. Nobody was hurt, but the one, the incident before that, when they got on the interstate, and an innocent child was killed, or an innocent young man was killed. So I felt like it was a good thing that the young officer did. He totaled one of our cars, but he stopped that vehicle from getting on the interstate. So those were the 3 incidents that I shared with Chilton County when they reached out to me.
And just to let you know, the relief that Chilton County is asking the city to join in is to basically find the Htown Event Center as a nuisance, and to have the court order that they restrain and abate from, quote, operation of what they call America's biggest burnout slide pit. So that is the part of the relief that they're asking for, and then they're asking for any attorney fees or costs associated with serving and shutting down what they want to be determined a nuisance. So this is what you've been asked to join Chilton County in. I just wanted to make sure that if I had any other questions about that I could fill you in. But that's essentially it. The complaint's been filed already. They want the court to determine if they're a nuisance and to shut down the operation.
I do have a question. Are they operating without a license of any kind? Do we know?
This is, I'm not aware of, I believe, do we know if Htown has a business license or any issues with that? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. It has not come up in my discussions.
It's outside of our city, and it's in the others.
So I would know what that, if that's an issue between the county.
I believe they do. Based on my discussions with the sheriff, I do believe that he has told me they have a license, a business license.
I'm just curious as to, have they tried to pull the license if it's the Chilton County?
Well, there's a couple ways you can, skin a cat, and Chilton County has tried to go the route of finding them a nuisance and shutting them down on that basis, as opposed to starting a proceeding to take away their business license, as I understand. They may be doing that concurrently, but I've not been a part of any discussion with Chilton County or their attorneys as to whether they plan to do that.
It was my understanding that the resolution was for you to represent our interest, and now they're wanting to let their firm.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to explain is Chilton County's attorney, they have hired Han Erdahl, and Ben Goldman is the specific attorney that's handling this for Chilton County. They're going to file this complaint. They're going to prosecute it on behalf of Chilton County, regardless of what we do. So what this does is basically authorize him to just put your name on something they were already going to pursue and prosecute. And Ben will not be charging the city for his actions. He's only going to be charging Chilton County. So in a lot of ways, you would benefit from all this legal effort to find the nuisance. You'd be named as a defendant, but I wouldn't be charging, and I wouldn't be doing much additional work. We will be talking occasionally. We'll be making sure that any actions that you take, TROs, reporting to you and making sure that everything's prosecuted correctly. But for the most part, you get to take advantage of his benefit, the way that this has been set up. We'd be working with him. I would report to you all as far as how litigation goes, but there'd be minimal legal billing that I would be providing to you based on this complaint.
I wasn't clear on the billing side of it. I was thinking that they wanted to just bill us wherever they wanted to bill us.
No, sir, that's not the plan. They just know that this has a little more teeth if they include Calera, so it's in their best interest to try to bring the city in as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Stacy? Allison?
The library's hosting the Montgomery Zoo tomorrow night at 5. It'll be from 5 to 6:30, but at 6:30, the animals have to leave to go back, so don't come at 6:30. If you plan to come before. It's going to be different from our last event. Our last event, we had over 500 people try to come to it. We could only hold about 200. So this is a walkthrough. You're not going to sit and listen to a presentation and see the animals. It'll be a walkthrough. So hopefully we can accommodate everyone. But it's a first-time trial for both us and the zoo. So fingers crossed it goes well.
Kelly?
Don't have anything.
Chief?
Yes, sir. I just have one item on the agenda. It is the acceptance and approval of the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant that we were awarded. I mentioned it last council meeting, but it's a $43,800 grant to purchase extrication equipment, and there's no match from the city. It's funded 100%, so we just have to accept that through council resolution.
Yeah, last week we hosted training put on by the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, and it's active shooter response instructor training, not the actual training, but to train instructors to enable them to train other people. And Lieutenant Atkins has kind of championed this. He went through this course a while back, and we really like the way the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center does their training. It's very no-nonsense, 1 to 3 person responses that's very, very realistic. Some of the training out there is just not realistic. You're not going to have a SWAT team available typically. I mean, these active shooters that happen at schools and around different businesses and things like that, they're over in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. So it's going to be whoever's closest initial responders are going to respond, and this training is really good for that. 4 of our SROs are now trained as instructors in this method of active shooter response, and 2 of our other officers are. So we got free training for our people by hosting this class. And I'm a big proponent of it as well. As I said, Lieutenant Atkins introduced this to me, and I think it's the right way to go. Next week, we're training all of our staff. All of our officers will be at our high school, and these instructors will be running us through in teams of 1 to 3 responding with ammunition, bullets, you know, the kind that's realistic as you could get. It actually hurts. I know some of you guys have been out and seen that before. I invite you to come out 28th to 29th to the high school if you like to observe that training, or participate if you like. It hurts, but it won't kill you. The other things I want to mention is Case Parent Night is tomorrow night. And again, Christian Life Fellowship, I can't thank them enough. They've hosted us many times for many different events. But we're starting at 5:30, and the topic is mental health. And it will be put on by Central Alabama Wellness, who I believe you guys are aware that we have a partnership with, and we do referrals to Central Alabama Wellness. Our SROs can refer kids based on addiction or mental health issues to Central Alabama Wellness. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow night. And our case camp started today. Today was the first day, and it finishes up on Friday at 2 o'clock. That's graduation. This will be our second case camp that we've had. And we've got kids that are rising, 6th graders at the middle school going through case camp this week. That's all I have.
So,
Just Miss Debbie, the lights are up. They're not all on because the power was hit at the library, but the ones that are on, they're gonna look really good when they're all on.
I did go by there. Thank you.
Robert and his guys, we appreciate it, and Shane and Instruction, anyway, group effort, so they look good.
Thank you.
Kevin,
I don't have,
Bill,
I don't think I have.
Roger. James? Okay.
Thank you. Speaking of grants, I wanted to check to see if we have applied for some that are about to expire. The first one is the Highway Safety Grant Program with the DECA. It's for pedestrian safety, education, traffic safety improvements, and it ends on August the 8th. So Bill, do you know if Calera applied for?
Not that I have, she has not communicated that to me, anything with the do on our traffic safety with Rebecca.
Okay, so, that one we will look into, as well as, Chief, there is also one that's, with the DECA for the Edward Byrne Memorial Assistance Grant. Did you all apply for that one?
I think we've applied for every one we've been able to apply for. Yeah, I believe, I'm not sure which one that is.
Well, this one is for law enforcement, crime prevention, equipment, and training, and it expires on July the 31st.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Matt specifically, but I don't think we've missed any we've been eligible for.
Okay. And then there was also one set for, the Parks and Recreation Department that was supposed to, end, I think it is July the 29th. Do you know if Cara applied for that one?
What was the name of the grant, ma'am?
Just a second, I just saw it. Parks and Recreation, grant for parks, recreation community development, and it's for, playground, park, and, community event space, and it expires on July 29th.
Okay, let me check with Kara on that.
Okay, because you know, I mentioned that George Roy needs some
Yes, ma'am.
playground equipment.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, just wanted
Yes, let me
to.
check with Miss Kara, and I'll get back with you.
Okay, all right. Also, our attorney, do you have an update on the railroad easement and the dumpster bag?
I saw an email that went, I think Bill received it, and I've CC'd on it, that basically said that it was, that a draft was coming. Was that our understanding, Bill, that basically they were gonna send us something, but nothing has been provided to us yet?
Yeah, she said she'd have it to me by Friday, but I didn't get it Friday.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
So, when do you expect that we'll have
I
information
think
on that?
that email was mid last week, so I will forward it back to them and just double check if they can give us a time frame for when we will, when we can expect it. In fact, I'll do it right now while we're in, I'll do it on my phone so that I won't forget.
Okay, I appreciate it. We're just trying to get, get things going. 'Cause fast as we possibly can. Now, on the agenda that the blight and weed nuisance, do we have a code enforcement officer? Who is that person?
We don't have a designated person, and we have some ideas how to proceed with that. I know the fire department, fire chief, and Reggie have been dealing back and forth on something coming up in the new budget.
And there's not a special,
proposal, so.
you don't have to necessarily enact a resolution in order to determine who that is, just so long as internally there's some determination as to who that representative would be.
We have a way to, move forward with staffing in some part-time situations, so.
So that's one of our plans for the budget, to staff somebody, so we'll have a name to that person?
That's correct.
Okay, okay, now, I noticed
The
that,
abatement, the weed abatement needs to be in place, but it can be in place, whether we hire a part-time person to
Right,
control
right.
it, so.
I understand that, I just wanted to know who was the person going around, noticing the violations and writing the tickets and whatever.
Reggie's been doing that up to this point. Reggie's got some employees that have been doing it. I know that, it's come out of that office, but, we have it online where you can make a complaint as well, so you can fill out part of that on their app.
So if we have a person that has blighted, property, and they want to dispute what what they have been ticketed for, who is the administrative officer that would conduct that hearing? Who would that be?
It comes to the court.
Oh, it does come to regular court?
Yes, ma'am. It
Oh,
comes to city court, here, which would, our court dates on Thursdays, so.
All right, just wanted to be clear on that. And just one other thing on the agenda, the alcohol and beverage license application for Divine Shop. Is the lease was formerly in Shane Jones' name, is that what we're doing? That new person, Divine Shop, is taking over the lease that Mr. Jones had? That's basically what it is? Okay, well, that's all I have, thank you.
All right, Debbie?
I just have a couple things. Spraying for mosquitoes. I've had complaints. I've been actually going door to door, and I've had a lot of people complain about mosquitoes. So are we on a regular pattern or schedule for spraying for mosquitoes?
Yes, I think is it Monday, Thursday?
Today, yeah, they would have done today,
Today and Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Monday and Thursday, yeah.
Okay. And then also, I had a report of standing water. I know we had a couple months of just rain every day. But did we do the hydro study? Didn't we, has it been completed?
We did two of them.
We did too. Do we know where the standing water or what? The
I don't know what you
drainage
mean,
issues?
standing water
Do we
for
know
us.
where the draining issues are?
So he looked at two areas. He looked at two basins, basically. One that, one basin feeds, kind of ends at the at the intersection of 22 and 31. And then the other one was in town, kind of from, I guess it'd be from like 4th Avenue all the way back to Emerald Ridge and then east towards 31. He looked at those two basins
Okay.
where we've had flooding complaints. He looked at those two.
Right. So we've been flooding. I think we're getting some standing water in different areas of town that people are complaining about. So that might be something we need to get specific address and look at. Can we do that?
If you give me specific addresses, we can look and see.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Seth, for the lights at the park. I'm excited about those. And I think that's all I have tonight.
Okay. Any other?
Yes, sir. The fire station, do you have a date when we might be gonna get that opened up?
We've been pushing the builder for that, and you got latest update, Chief?
And I know that, I spoke with Steve Coker by email this week. He sent a letter to the contractor, and they did a little bit of work last week, but there hasn't been any other change since last time we spoke.
So they're still on the punch list?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Is it major?
I would consider some of it major, yes.
What about the landscaping on Highway 25 side? It looks pretty rough, Seth. The landscaping by the fire hall, the new fire hall.
On the side, I
Yeah,
think they were about to, weren't y'all about to do the paving there? Or put the parking spaces there?
Once that dumpster's gone.
look at it, it's pretty
Okay,
high.
we'll go weed eat it down until they get it down. We'll knock it down. No problem.
Okay, so, downtown, Bill, you and Brian, I don't understand why y'all don't have this lease. I got the lease agreement today from sheriff. So, I don't see why you two, y'all are leaders here, y'all don't have it.
All I can say is, the email that I saw was directed to Bill, and she said that we have it by Friday, so whoever she decided to send it to is who she decided to send it to. So if you forward it to us, I'll be happy to jump on
I'll
it.
be glad to forward it to you, but we've been waiting on this for 2.5 years. And we'll just keep pushing it.
Not entirely. You had to finish the drainage agreement first.
Yeah.
They would not.
Well, that was 3 years ago when that started. I know
It
I've
didn't
been
really
involved
start.
in it quite a while.
Yeah, it didn't really start 3 years ago, but how long did it take to get a construction agreement with them? It was 6 to 9 months?
It took forever trying to jump through the hoops of insurance, and I think the time that we spent basically just wore them down, and they finally just caved in on them to the benefit of the city, to be perfectly honest. But no, sir, as soon as you can send that to me, we can review that and get it rolling this week, so.
I got it today, so what it says, and it's a $1,200 lease per year with a 3% increase every year. So that's what we're looking at for that 10-foot easement.
Okay. And I had just sent Sherry an email from Wednesday was what I saw, so she may very well have sent it to me by the time you forward it to me, but if you don't mind sending it,
I've got
that's
it on pad, I'll be glad to send it to you.
we'll get that rolling then. That's
So
good.
the council, I think I sent it to the council, I'll make sure I send it to the mayor too, but I did get it today. And I did send a rendering out of the Cosby building, where the architects have been working a little bit with me. It's just a small rendering, just to start looking at what we want to do in it and to move a little bit forward, so, just look at it. And, looks like that's about all that,
Kel?
Thanks. Legal advice.
Yes, sir.
On the speed humps in the neighborhood, even though the city have allowed that to take place, and we have to get signatures as far as, based on the amount of people that live in a subdivision. Is there any way other than it's based on the signature of X amount of people that lives within that subdivision? Can we still get something put in these areas? Because cars are steady speeding through the neighborhoods. That problem hasn't gone away, but the issue is, if you have a subdivision that have 400 or 500 people that lives there, and you got to get X amount of those people to sign on, it doesn't help the problem. The problem still exists, but it's based on, is there any other way around that? Or can it be done another way?
I'll tell you that off the top of my head, I'm not as familiar with this process, and just to make sure that I'm clear, are you asking as far as installing speed bumps, or, I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question.
No, we have already, the speed bumps are something that the city have already approved. The process is that you have to have X amount of residents within that subdivision to sign off on the approval of this.
I think I understand. No, sir, this is something I do not know the answer to off the top of my head, but I could take a look at it and give you an answer as far as the requirement. I'm assuming the requirement has something to do with, I don't know if it's set out by a statute or if it's set out by your planning regs. So I'll take a look at it and be able to give you an answer.
And also, I've been approached by numerous of people in Kenny. If I'm not mistaken, and you may can bring me back up to date on this, when we talked about a veteran memorial over here by the flag, whatever happened to that?
We never moved forward with it, but we was gonna have a bench in front of the flags, a little radius, and then a flower bed would be up behind it with, some pavers, and then honoring the veterans. It never did go through. It never did do anything. That's when, Chris, moved on to Orange Beach, so we still just sitting on limbo on that.
Okay, I asked the mayor and this council, as we enter into our budget for this year, could we please really put some serious interest into that area? Because there's a lot of veterans here that are showing interest and saying that they would love for the city to do something. And, you know, it come up, every one of them say the same area right there where those flags are would be a prime spot to have it done. That's all I have.
I've got a couple of things, they've already been touched on. The first one is the fire station. I suppose you came the other day about it. And my concern is that this is, I don't want this to create a problem with RPS when we move into AL Station 1 and us lose that agreement. I'm to the mindset of wanting to let the attorney send the contractor a letter with a little more teeth in it, and let him meet with the chief and put some bullet points on that letter and get it to them and give them a deadline. Are we withholding the last payment on construction?
We're retaining that at this time, so.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, and that's normal, but this is ridiculous. We're 4 months out when they said they were gonna finish it, and this station needs to be open, and RPS needs to be getting in the whole building.
And Chief or whoever has the contract, can forward it to me on behalf of put something together and get it out the door very quickly.
I mean, and I can't authorize you to do that, but I suggest that we do that, whether we have to do it by resolution or not. I'd like to do that tonight.
And it would take legal action, I don't think that necessarily.
No, I need a letter.
Yeah, if the mayor authorizes me to send a letter, we can send a letter this week.
I think that's important.
Yes, sir.
Looking
And the next thing has been touched on as well, which involves Main Street, both the land lease and the Cosby building. Councilman Cost forwarded emails late this afternoon regarding both those issues. And it looks like to me Jackie and Dennis are the main contacts back from the railroad. And I basically, I love everything Main Street's doing, but who's in control of this? Who's in charge of this? Is the city or is Main Street in charge?
I got the email from Jackie.
I understand, but is Jackie supposed to be in charge of communications with the railroad and with the architect regarding the Cosby? Who is supposed to be in charge? Is my question.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's, as far as who's in charge, I mean, as far as who's the contact with CSX.
City of Calera.
I would contend that, officially it should be the mayor, but if anybody steps in and speed up the process, I guess it's welcome.
The lady at this Sherry Miller, the real estate analyst, property manager for CSX, needs to be told that the mayor is the point of contact and not Main Street.
And I can absolutely share that with you.
The city council should be seeing this information before anybody else. If the city's the one paying for it and gonna pay for the lease, the city ought to be the one that sees it first. I'm not saying it shouldn't be shared, I'm not finished with it, thank you. I'm not saying the city won't share it with Main Street, but I'm saying the city should be the one that sees it first. And the city also should be the ones that's point of contact regarding the concrete building, and it's got Jackie as the main contact from the architect.
Now, Jackie and I worked with him recently to get him online and talk with him, just a briefing of what they have all the information. They got more information than any part of us has got. So Jackie was part of sending that information to
I get
me.
that, who's paying the bill for labor?
It ain't no bill.
It's free.
It ain't no bill at this point. It's free.
But the city owns the property.
The city owns the
So
property.
the city should get the information first.
Well, somebody's got to be able to get to work with people, you know? You want to work with them?
I understand,
I mean,
but.
I'm over the Main Street, the mayor put me over that group, so they reported it to me, and I sent it to y'all.
That's fine. But the city owns the property, and the city should be the ones that do the contact. And then if somebody at the city that has the authority wants to give Jackie or Dennis a task or an action, then that's perfectly fine.
So you saying Jackie and Dennis has no authority down there to talk to anybody?
No, that ain't what I said. I said as far as the point of contact for property owned by the city needs to be the city, not Main Street. Because Main Street's not gonna pay to get anything done to that building. The city is.
We're not paying anything,
I'm talking about what's the drawing.
just a rendering. But the starting point, you gotta start somewhere.
Who would do that? Who would pay for that?
Well, later on, if the council and the mayor decides, well, they want to go with that group, once this worked out, then whenever it starts, when it would be money involved, there's no money involved there.
But it would be the city that makes
It'd be
that
the
call.
city. Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm saying, that's the only thing I'm saying is the city should be getting this information.
That's why I sent it to you. But I know it went through Jackie, but I sent it to you for that reason, well, you know.
Well,
I didn't get it delayed either.
but it should have went to the city on the front end, and then got this first.
The mayor was in the meeting with these guys, and I was in it with him. Who else, Mayor, was involved in the meeting prior to this one we're talking about? When they come up and met with us? And you and Dennis?
I'm not saying the information needs to be withheld from Main Street, I'm saying the city needs to get it first. That's all.
Ernest?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had, I did get the email from Kenny that you sent concerning the rendering and the lease agreement. That came up, I know the attorney said he hadn't had that. That came, I only got that around 4 p.m. this evening, so he hadn't had time to look at all. I had a couple of questions that I'll read on that lease agreement, but since you haven't viewed it yet, and I don't know if the mayor have that as well, so I wanted to go into that yet until you have it.
And then I do see it, if, I'd be happy to share it with whomever wants to take a look at it as far as my red lines or any suggestions that I would request, or if anybody has any questions as far as that goes, so that we can move that along, because I know that's obviously something that everybody wants to move along. But no, that would be my top priority as soon as I see it, and make sure that it's circulated.
So I will withhold questions I had on to you, that to Brian have a chance to look at this and have some dialogue on it after that. That's something that I wanted to discuss concerning the agenda there, so appreciate it.
Mayor, I had a question. In the council member cost, the representative for designated by you?
Yeah, that was something that we did a few years ago.
So is he still,
Appoint Kenny to,
he's still appointed as a designated representative of Main Street, correct? Okay. So information would start with him.
But it did not go to him, Councilman Snow, it went to Main Street.
Well, he is Main Street, though. He is the rep for Main Street.
You know, it's amazing that we're discussing this now, and things have been ran like this for the past, ever since I've been on this council. This is, while we're certain these things are popping up now, when they've been existing ever since Main Street been existing. As far as with this, with Councilman Cost, I understand what Alan is saying, that it didn't go to come to the city, but a lot of things that happen doesn't come to us either. This is not the first thing.
The land lease agreement in a multi-million-dollar building project. This is not something simple.
Right. But the only thing about that is, nothing, is information, and I'm not sitting here trying to take nobody's battle, but I'm just calling it the way I see it. It's information that's been translated. Numerous of things within the city have been done this way. Nothing, there's so many projects that have happened the same way. We find out about it when the public find out about it. It's not everything that happened in the business in this city comes through the council first, and we know. And you guys know I'm telling the truth.
Good evening, Council, and Councilman Watts. I appreciate the input there. Just a couple of things that I'd like to make everyone aware of. Our Main Street program has 4 divisions, one of them being a design committee, and that consists of the mayor, myself, Jackie, and Councilman Cost. So any designs downtown first filter through us before they go anywhere. And this is a design that is at no cost to the city and very preliminary as far as sketches. So these are just ideas and renderings to share. So that's number 1. Number 2, if it wasn't for Councilman Cost and Councilman Morgan, Sherry would not be a contact. In fact, I know historically the city's had some challenges with the railroad, and thanks to them, we were able to get that contact about 4 or 5 years ago. So to add a little bit there, Alan, there was a survey at one time that one of the properties that I manage actually touch and go in between what we're talking about here. So I asked Sherry to make sure that I knew what was going on before it impacted my building. Secondly, the cost that I negotiated for the city at a very reduced price of $1,200 with that 3% is one of the lowest that they've ever signed. So those are facts. Thank you.
And that's fine, and I appreciate your effort.
Yeah.
But
But hang on one second, Alan. You could have called me, and in 2 minutes I would have answered. Very rarely do you speak, Alan, very rarely. And when you do, it's about Main Street and it's negative. Don't do that, okay? You could have called me, you would have known immediately. Don't do that.
I didn't get it for the end of the work.
You could have called me or texted me. Don't do that.
Mayor, since we just have a couple minutes before we start the official meeting, I just wanted to point out that when we take up the ordinance as far as for the alternative weed abatement, just to remind everybody, we had a first hearing last week, so we still have to have a public hearing on it for this particular meeting because it was not a vote. And you would not have to suspend the rules, anything of that nature. You can just go into a normal voice vote on that, but you have to have that public hearing this time because technically the first one was just a first reading. So just wanted to chime in on that so I wasn't interrupting when I got to the official. Thank you.
Father God and our Father, we come before you to say thank you once again for the many blessings that you have stored upon us. Father God, we ask that you guide our minds and our heart as we enter into our meeting tonight. Lord God, we pray and we ask that you bless the leadership of this wonderful city. Lord God, we pray and we ask for you to watch over those that are least, the poor, those that are less fortunate. Lord God, we ask that you please, Jesus, have mercy on those that are going through all types of things. Lord God, we ask that you please give us grace and mercy. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got a good-looking crowd here tonight. We got, first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I hear a motion to approve the agenda, is that moved?
Motion.
A motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now I need a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting and work session on July 7th.
I move.
And a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is old business that we've heard from in the last meeting, so we'll start with ordinance 2025-07. This is a public hearing at this time, and the purpose of this is to have an alternative procedure for abating weed nuisances for the city of Calera Code Section 1167-68. So we've heard this in the previous meetings, and we've heard our attorney mention it. At this time, we have a weed abatement nuisance on the table to talk about. Is there anybody from the public that wants to talk about our weed abatement nuisance policies? Anybody from the council that wants to discuss any of that? There was dialogue in the last meeting.
Mayor Brian explained to us that time period that he shared with us at the last meeting, which made it really, really clear to me that, if the process got to that point, by the time it goes through all the procedures that it have to, we were way past the 2 weeks or 3 weeks after it reaches that hot limit that we want to set. So it seems to me the agreement seems to be, the disagreement seems to be fair.
I think it's well spelled out in the amount of time it does give somebody. People fall on hard times, and they the lawnmower breaks, they have a health issue or something, but there are reasonable measures that are in place in this that, we can clean our city up. We can make the aesthetics of a lot of these nuisances look better, and we can act on them quicker.
So I guess my only concern about this is, as far as addressing not just residential, but the right-of-ways. We're not even talking, I haven't heard anyone discuss about some of the right-of-ways, places that's coming into the city that the weeds are 6, 7, 8 feet tall. Are we talking about, and I give you a prime example of the one right across when you're coming into town, up on the hill across from the Chevron store. They just cleaned that up. But it had been like that for 8, 6, 7 months or more. So are we referring to those type of things, or is that included in the residential? Because we haven't said anything about it.
If there's a city right-of-way, if the city owns a right-of-way or any sort of easements, then the city can go in under their police powers and mow that at any time. So this does not have any real effect on that. That is an inherent power that the city has when it's their property. It's in fact, a city-owned right-of-way. No, all this would handle is when there's a private property that is not city, not an easement of the city, and when that gets to this exceeding 12 inches high. So as far as those issues, that is something that is, as long as y'all identify and y'all can confirm it's yours, you can go get it.
Right, but I want the council to understand exactly what I'm referring to, what I'm talking about. When you come off the exit to 38, the Chevron store, all up down through in there, the bushes and trees and stuff is there. Are we going to address that?
Well,
Are those going to be issues that we're going to address? Fields that needs to be cut?
From my standpoint, as far as the attorney, I don't see that there's any additional resolutions or any additional ordinances that we need. As long as y'all can identify and confirm that these are your right-of-ways, then that's, to the city their schedule as far as, being able to, they can go cut them as soon as they want to.
But what if it's not city right away?
If it's not city right-of-way, that's when the ordinance would come in. If it's if it's private property, then that would trigger the ordinance 2025-07, which you're considering tonight. So in that situation, if y'all go out there and say, hey, this is not a city right-of-way, this is not, the city doesn't have an easement, slightly different things, then if it's private property, then there would be this determination as to whether it was a nuisance, going through, cutting it, and then charging it to whomever owns that private property. So yes, if we can determine that it's private property, this will cut it.
Councilman Morgan's, you asking about county and state right away.
I mean, yes, all of
I think he's talking about.
Okay, if I understand that, as far as county goes, then just coming down to county, if it's a county right away, then this is an issue of, coordinating with the county to confirm that they are in fact, taking care of their right of way. So, Aldott or whomever might possibly be involved. Unfortunately, I just have limited understanding who owns what you might be referencing. So, I hope that I've answered your question to your satisfaction. I just don't know who might actually be in charge of that right of way to do that. But no, if it's a county right of way, then it's a county obligation and it should be brought to the county's attention and make sure that their schedules, that it's placed in their schedule.
Any other discussion? Yes, come forward, state your name.
Donnie Cook is my name, and I'm curious about areas in subdivisions that probably are homeowner association common areas with this ordinance. And there's places in subdivisions where there's property that's not finished, and it's not always clear whether there's enough room for another house. Maybe it's just some common space. It was is the city gonna get that? Are they gonna go cut that and charge whoever owns it and who doesn't? It's common space in
And that
most of
was-
those neighborhoods, I guess.
And to answer the question, this is a broad ordinance that would apply to any private property, whether it's owned by an HOA, company, entity, private homeowners. So it would be applicable to everyone, all of the above, basically. So it could be instituted through an HOA or any of those circumstances the gentleman discussed.
Anybody else?
My name is David Morgan, you all know me, and I just want to reiterate my objection from the last meeting, and I assume you've all had a chance to read it now, and, well, have each of you had a chance to read it? So, my objections are the balance of property rights. I understand there's an enabling legislation for this. I've been doing a lot of reading about this, and if you haven't, the ALM, the League of Municipalities, has an excellent little review of this subject on abatement of nuisances. If you haven't read it, it's an excellent read. And I would also suggest the Alabama Constitution, Section 35. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Danny Bello, Council. Regarding this weed issues, are we addressing everybody in general? I've had the opportunity to come through Calera so many places, and there's weeds at the bound you just talked about. But then people like myself get harassed and get threatened with citations because my grass is not cut. I think that if we're going to pass this, that we should be, in general, black and white paper, because it does not apply to one guy and it doesn't apply to this guy, but it does apply to this guy. If we move forward with this, I would like to ask, please, let's move on this and make it fair to everybody, because if I'm forced to do it, so are they, because in general, we should all beautify the city. So yeah, a lot of us, like the mayor said, sometimes we all fall, or like myself, I work out of the state, so it's kind of hard to maintain it. But there's some of us that do work 9 to 5, and we can't cut our grass. I'm just asking, please just be fair and make everyone accountable for the yards. Thank you.
And to the gentleman's point, I think there's a lot of discretion as far as this, as far as your officer. So there's a time period where you can move very quickly on these, but you can also work with property owners, when there's issues that might take a minute for them to get to. So I don't think that the way this has been, and again, I've been a part of several cities that have had this type of ordinance. And every city that I work for has tried to work with property owners, because the bottom line is you don't want to go assessing much lien, you just want to make sure that folks cut their grass. And so my understanding as far as seeing it actually applied in practice is that there is a lot of discretion, and your enforcement officer can work with folks. So you don't have to jump in, send letters immediately, assign liens, etc. You can. Like I said, there's a lot of discretion there, so I hope that some of the people with concerns would at least consider that. And I'm not trying to argue one way or the other, I just want to give you all the information for actually seeing it applied in practice. So.
Anybody else?
And there are a lot of discretion that Brian is saying, but I think we need to keep in mind as well, as the gentleman was just saying, somebody can come say, well, I received a citation or whatever for my grass that's going down the street or somewhere else that's not. But we have to understand, I think we have to understand too, it has to be a complaint made by somebody. It's not that somebody is designated to, mayor is designated somebody right around looking at everybody's yard. It's just that if a neighbor or whatever, somebody making a complaint, that's when that's what really begin starting the ball rolling. So I think just being fair. You want to be fair with everybody, but somebody got to initiate a complaint. If no one can complain, then they don't know it, you know. And everything's fine, but it's a lot of leeway. I think Brian explained that very well at the last meeting. There's a lot of leeway. And so if we want our city cleaned up, or even like Councilman Morgan was just saying, and the mayor can testify. I called him about 2 or 3 weeks ago on one of the exits here, which is right away. And he said, I would contact Bill, and they got it straight up, and I appreciate that too, Bill. You got to do a very good job on that, but somebody got to make it known that there's a problem before you can fix the problem.
Mr. Mayor and all the councilmen, I've been a resident of Calera for 20 years, absolutely fantastic town. I've had 2 sons that go to Calera High School, and I just want to thank first the City Council and Mr. John. We have a phenomenal police department and excellent response time from the fire department. I have bamboo that I just found out is grass, so it's in compliance with Alabama Power, but I'm going to step it back. So once a resident is informed of that, and they do know that, and they've been told that, then they have the opportunity to address that matter. But I just want to tell you all that this is the first city council meeting I've been to. Absolutely love our city council. My 2 sons are here. They go to Calera High School, along with probably most of y'all's children. I still have 1 more in Calera High School, 1 more year. I love the city. It's got a great leadership, great police department, great fire department. It's extremely important that my children look at that as a model. And I want to tell y'all that I appreciate the fact that when somebody does send me an ordinance that says, hey, you need to address this, that I've addressed this, and that I was given ample enough time to do that. Again, I want to thank y'all.
Anybody else? I'll close the public hearing portion of this meeting, and the council has any more discussion. Now's the time. If not, we need to make a motion on this.
I make a motion that we approve this ordinance.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I would ask that you do a voice vote on the ordinance, just out of abundance of caution. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Sorry, Mayor, I'm sick.
I know you do that on unanimous consent. So, I get it. All right, next on the agenda is the capital item purchase from Chief Mike. Drone.
Yeah, and I know I brought this up, I guess, last council meeting, maybe the one before that, and then I had a meeting with Kelly, and she educated me on some things that I really didn't understand very well. Some of the money that we had been donated in past years that were in certain accounts, I erroneously thought that that money remained in that account, like if we had money donated for our Explorers, it stayed in that account, or if we auctioned items, the different ways I was explaining to you guys that we had come up with money that I wanted to use to buy the drone. Kelly explained to me that that wasn't necessary, that at the end of every year, all of the budget line items are zeroed out. And we have adequate money, please correct me again if I'm wrong, but we have adequate money left over in our police budget because of our positions that we don't have filled to cover this expense. So it really doesn't matter that we sold these items and it went to the general fund, or that we had Walmart grants from years past. And I appreciate Kelly educating me that, so in the future, if we get a grant like that, we have to spend it that year. But I do understand that we've got money in our budget to cover this purchase from other areas, so it really is not relevant that we sold things that amounts to what this particular drone costs. Does that make sense? And I did not understand that. Had a nice meeting with Kelly, and she explained it to me. Did I explain that right, correctly, Kelly? Okay, well, thank you. Well, she was dying to explain it to me the other day when I was talking about all the stuff we had sold, but that was my mistake, and I do understand better now. And I explained to you a little bit about the drone. This one has night capability. It's a larger drone. It has a longer flight time than the one we currently have. The one we currently have is pretty much outdated, but it still will be used. But this one would greatly supplement our capability. Some of the, I talked to you a little bit about search and rescue, like with Mr. Wathaka. We used many drones from surrounding agencies, and they were actually able to map the wooded area, and then you can go back and look at the photographs from the map. It's amazing the software that comes with drones like this. But something else I want you to think about too is in a tactical environment. If our special response team is executing a search warrant, if we have a hostage situation, or if we have a barricade situation, or a few years ago we had somebody with a gun on the interstate and we were having to deal with, well, this drone can go up and give us real-time intelligence. If we're sending our officers to a house to arrest drug dealers and to search a house, we can put this drone up in advance and keep eyes on. We can know who pulls in, pulls out, that kind of thing. It's a really some strong officer safety aspects to a drone like this as well.
What is the range for it?
How far can it fly away from the operator? It's publicized to be 8 miles, but that varies a little bit. Pursuits, in a pursuit, it can lock on a vehicle and it can stay on that vehicle. So it can actually enable you to be able to back off a little further during a pursuit. You can have your operator in a car and lock that drone on that vehicle at several hundred feet up where they won't know it's there, and it can fly and help you follow somebody. It's a safety issue in a pursuit as well as a tactical situation. There are a lot of applications. Departments are going to these. There's different types of drones. We already have purchased an interior drone, which in a search of a building or a house, we can send a drone in ahead of our officers. There's virtual reality goggles, and we can actually go and send a drone into a room, and if the suspect's in the room and armed with a gun, well, you find that out through the video from the drone beforehand. I mean, it's where the technology's going, and it's kind of a must-have nowadays. And again, it's something that makes not only our officers safer, but it's safer for citizens too. And every year we have a few kids and adults that we have to go and search for. We just had one at the last First Friday, a couple that, along with the fire department, we had to look for. And it's something we do jointly with the fire department. They have a drone as well, and this would enhance their capabilities too. Because, like I said, this is Kelly and I talked the other day about maybe waiting for a new generation of drone to come along, because there are some new ones that are supposed to come out. But we did some research on that too. And the one that's currently available has all of the capabilities that we need, and it really doesn't make any sense to just wait on. It's like the next iPhone, It does some silly little thing that the old iPhone doesn't, but costs a lot more money. I think that the one that we've got before you on the paperwork is the perfect size and the perfect level of technology that we need right now. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody on the council have questions? Get a motion to move forward on this if we want to.
I make the motion.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to authorize this capital purchase. Kelly bill budget adjustment for the $100,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those left with. Resolution 2025-38. Chief Kendrick has made us aware of this Firehouse Sub Safety Foundation grant. And we did get awarded that.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's no match on the city.
That's no match, that's correct.
Good stuff.
Hernan Conte did the legwork on that, so I want to mention him again. So we apply for these quarterly, and we finally got one. So
I've been eating up there a whole lot lately.
that's right, frequent flyer. That's right,
I give the James to it.
that's right.
And I'll move for approval of 2025-39.
Got a
I'm
motion?
sorry, wrong number, 38, I apologize.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-39 is the authorization of council to join in that pursuit. You've got the information there in front of you.
And Mayor, if I could clarify to a point that a discussion that I had with Councilmember Watts earlier. The way this is worded, it specifically authorizes the city attorney to represent your interests. So the best, and I hope that I explained it correctly, in that you're not going to receive a bill from another attorney. You're not necessarily authorizing them, but through me as kind of your conduit, I'm going to be basically just following their work and basically just adding to the city of Calera with very little extra work. So at the end of the day, you are authorizing me technically, and you are not engaging an outside firm that you're going to receive a bill from. So I did really make that clear earlier tonight, so I wanted to make that clear this time.
So then it will be a cost to the city.
No, it would be a cost to the city to the extent of any changes or additional representation that I would do for the city, which would be minimal since they're doing much of the heavy lifting. They've already written the complaint. So all I would add is, this is my bar ID, Mr. Co-Counsel, he'd add it, and he'd file an amended complaint, and you might get charged like 10 minutes worth of work, whereas Chilton County's already hired this attorney to do the yeoman's work for it. So your legal expense of this will be minimal, is the bottom line.
Whatever the process is, Brian, that they will be doing there in Chilton County, the attorney will be in touch with you, so we'll know.
Absolutely. We'd be basically me communicating with them if I had any additional insights or anything that, maybe I might appear at the hearing, but most of the research and the filings would be done by Chilton County. So it would just be us, coordinating, making sure that we were moving forward, and that would not involve a lot of time, which in turn would mean that there would be minimal billing to me. But I would definitely be in communication with what's going on all along the way, and be able to report to you as far as how it's going.
Council want to make a motion on that?
Sir, before we make a motion, can we, I see the gentleman raise his hand back here.
Am I allowed to speak during this?
No, that's not a public hearing. It's just
No, public hearing?
Well, I guess my thing would be to hear the other side to this as well.
that's not.
We're not.
Mayor, I make a motion that we, resolution 39, that we approve that.
Got a motion on the table? Anybody want to make a second on that? Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like that. Motion carried. We have the ABC Board license for applicant named Divine Shop Inc., 6067. I think that is the gas station up there on the corner of George Roy and 87. Change of ownership, that's what that is, in that application. Somebody mentioned that earlier. We hear approval on that ABC application.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2025, I guess this should be number 40, it's a little typo there. So this resolution about appointing election officers that have been listed to you, that is 2025-40. Everybody got that corrections? Do you want to move forward with those elected officers?
I make a motion.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, this is, ordinance 2025-08 is another public hearing, so I'll open the floor up for comments or questions on this, unsupervised minors under the age of 16 in the city park. We had some discussion on this, I think, in our last work session. You've heard you've heard the request. Any discussion at this time from the council? Any discussion from the public? This is a public hearing.
I would like to speak.
Yeah, come up and state your name and
Again, my name is Daniel Hidalgo.
what's your address, sir?
9240 Highway 25. So, I know that you guys are trying to do unsupervised 16-year-olds, but you guys are asking or claiming to be a great city. But if you shut this down, you're eliminating kids from having something to do. Where I come from, the reason why kids get into bad things is because they don't have anything to do. If you do this, and kids can't even go to the parks, kids can't even go and play, what are we doing? We're forcing kids to go into other areas, drugs, drinking, smoking, outside of our city. If we take this from the kids, you're taking away from the future. And you're bringing it up so they have other alternatives to go to. I feel my kids enjoy going to the schools, to the parks at nighttime. It's the only time they can go out and have a good time. If you do this, and many people may agree that kids are gonna destroy or they don't need to be unsupervised, but look at the whole country, the whole nation, and we're just a little town. Being a little town, saying that we are a great town, and you're taking from kids, I feel that it's the wrong thing to do. I'm speaking on it because I have 4 military boys. How did I accomplish 4 military boys? By always giving the kids something to do. Parks being there. The cities, everywhere we go, everyone is shutting down the parks. Everyone's shutting avenues off so kids don't have nothing to do. So what I'm saying is, you may be putting the city to have greater things, greater problems by creating kids that need to find something to do. And it's just gonna become a problem. Where I come from, that's where everything starts. Kids start with games, bad games, Grand Theft Auto. They learn so many things. The parks is the only thing the kids have now. Everything that anyone does towards kids gets denied. They don't have anything to do. So maybe I would reconsider. Maybe that's all.
This pertains to supervision of kids.
Yes.
Younger kids.
Yeah.
And the problem I think we've heard and we've been having, one was vandalism. Second was some of the events that we've had in our city, movies in the park, stuff like that, football games.
Yeah.
Heard it from our police chief here directly.
A lot
About unsupervised
of, right.
young, I don't know exact age, but maybe 12 to 15.
It all
And,
starts,
and they'll have parents or somebody drops them off at the park, I guess for the babysitting evening hour, whatever. And that's the problem we're having, unsupervised.
correct. And that's why we should.
I encourage everybody to take their children to the park, use every park we have, use all the space we have. Get on the swing set, come to our public, come to our pavilion, come to our parks. But a certain age needs to be supervised.
I can disagree a little bit on that, because like I said, it's all based on parenthood. My kids, they would never go and destroy something. It's all on the parents, but like I'm saying, it's like, we should have a budget. We should have a budget so we can do go clean up. Kids are gonna be kids, and we cannot control the part that parents don't have enough income. Now a parent has to work 2 jobs. So what happens to the kids? Of course, they have to raise themselves. So being unsupervised, yeah, it's a very common thing. And it's getting bigger every day because there's not enough salaries out there for a parent to have 1 job. But when we go unsupervised, we're taking from the kids, but we should have a budget to clean up. I mean, I'll volunteer to clean up the parks if that's what we have to, but if you're taking it from the kids, you're only creating a bigger problem in the future. That's all I'm saying. I see your point.
Yeah, create a venue for them.
See, now you're taking it personal. You're
Create a
taking it
venue for
personal.
them to go to.
And I would love to. I would love to create a venue, but your department shuts everything I want to do. I wanted to do a Chuck E. Cheese pizza place on the old Crow's Nest. But what happens, before I even apply for a business license, you guys shut me down. Without even attempting to open a business yet, your department sends someone to shut me down. And how did they know I even own it? Because your department chases me around. I would love to fund the police department for more cars. I would love to fund them for that drone. I was gonna volunteer to pay for the drone. But the reason why we don't do business here in Calera is because I get shut down for everything I wanna do. All I'm saying is, don't shut the future down. You're shutting the future down when we should have a budget to clean the parks. And some of the businesses here, we would volunteer to donate money to keep the parks clean. But all I'm saying, as a father, in front of an officer, 4 years ago, Navy guy, I spanked my boy in front of him because I taught my boys to respect property. So it starts with families. But because we don't have a salary, now we create kids that don't have respect. See what I'm saying? But if they don't have a place to go play ball, shoot, I used to play ball till 10 o'clock at night, go home, go to sleep. I wasn't doing anything but playing ball. And there's kids here that are, Calera is growing. You're far from being Los Angeles. It'll never be Los Angeles. But if we prepare and we give these kids somewhere to go, you're avoiding future problems. That's all I'm saying. And if you allow me, I will open. I volunteered a place for Mr. Allen, one of the officers, to open an activity thing for kids. We're talking about it right now because kids need a place to go. Kids need to be pushed and just driven to be better. But if we're just coming up with ideas because we don't want to spend the money, we have money. Calera has money. We just have to figure out where to put it so we kids can just be kids. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, we didn't have that. But because our parents didn't have a wages problem, we have a wage problem. And that's something that we should work on so parents can parent their kid a little more. But I'm not taking too much of your time.
Anybody
Thank you.
else want to come forward? Yes, please.
Hi, Dee Starkey, I'm at 403 Waterford Cove Trail. I agree, you hit it on, we need to put some restrictions, but I do have concerns with the age of 16. I'm not quite sure if the council member realize an average 16-year-old is in their sophomore year of high school. So with the age of 16, and my understanding is a lot of the problems have been around the football games and the younger kids coming, the junior high kids and stuff coming to the football games, causing problems or events and causing vandalism. The concern would be these high school students who have a rite of passage of, yes, I'm a high school, I can go to my home football game, but won't be able to unchaperoned. So I would suggest looking at it as a grade level opportunity and having that rite of passage for when you get into high school. Because a student like my child wouldn't have been able to go to a home football game without a parent supervision until they were a junior in high school. And so that's why I would recommend you guys consider grade level versus an age restriction, because you want to keep those younger kids at bay and have it a rite of passage for the football games for those high school kids. Thank you.
Hello, Jennifer Floyd, 6059 Kensington Way. I also have a problem with the age, 16. As she said, it is a rite of passage. Most of 16-year-olds are driving. So for you to put an ordinance on 16-year-olds to not be in a park unsupervised, it's pretty ridiculous, because even with my kids, I've had one that graduated in 2012 and 2019. There have been plenty of times, and even my 15 and 17-year-old now, they go to the park. I mean, I know that there have been issues with kids that are vandalizing, but I know we just found, we have those cameras now where you can actually do real-time monitoring at those areas, especially around the bathrooms. That's something that needs to be looked at into, instead of putting an ordinance on our children being able to come somewhere that they should be allowed to roam free. If it's a park, I understand that is a open field. I've seen where we've stayed late at night, where a parent drops their kids off for practice and they stay late at night with no supervision, they're playing. So that's something you need to think about as well. Also, if it is at the football games or at something that Main Street is having, then we need to have a committee of adults or even the parents themselves. Like when I helped with concession before, we watched those kids. It wasn't just, especially to the end before the lights went off. We made sure all the kids were gone, especially on the soccer field. So that's something you all need to look at before you pass this, because it is a rite of passage for a 16-year-old. They're driving. If they stop and want to go play soccer or football or basketball at the park, you're gonna stop them from, you're gonna stop them from having fun. And just like the gentleman said, we need to have places for our children. We don't. We have no place for our kids to go. And it is a nationwide issue. Nationwide issue. I mean, I know the Boys and Girls Club in Montevallo, they are limited, in especially space and time. So it needs to have, when you get ready to do the budget, think about that. Put something in the budget for our students, our children from ages 5 and up, to have a place to go, places for people who will watch them or help them, like the case. That right there is something that Chief and them are running and is doing excellent. It needs to be expanded. Give them more funding for that. Thank you.
Barry Doggo, 9240 Highway 25. Question that I have is that if they're unsupervised, are the parents going to be getting a fine if a child is caught outside that's under the age of 16? And who gets in trouble in that fact? Do the kids get in trouble or do the parents? And also the fact of what happens of students that are volunteering and it's only volunteering to a certain time, and once that the teachers or organization that leaves after that, do the students or kids have to go home, or can they now just enjoy the event that they're volunteering to stay at, even if the parents aren't there? What happens if they have sports practices, and after sports practices, they want to stay out? Hey, look, we're not done with the day. We want to keep playing ball. We want to keep having fun. But, I'm not 16, so I can't stay out of the park. But they ask their parents if they could stay out of the park just a little bit longer before they get picked up, because most parents don't want to sit through the practice every time. And that's just something I want clarification on too. All right, thank you.
Mayor, if I could be recognized, I can address those, because I think others may have the same question. As far as the penalties, the first offense would be verbal warning and removal from the park of the minor. A second offense would be a written warning and parent guardian notification. And then upon the third subsequent offense, a fine not to exceed $100 and/or a temporary suspension of their park privileges. There are exceptions to this as far as the prohibition against minors being out under the age of 16. And one of these, I'll go through 3. Minors participating in a city-sponsored or permitted event or program where the city event organizers or another responsible party provide structured supervision. Second exception would be minors that are present as part of a school supervised activity or field trip, which I think might include some of what the gentleman was asking about sports activities. If they're supervised activities, then they would be excluded. So you can be 16 years old and so long as there's some sort of sponsored event.
And then finally, minors who are accompanied by a sibling or relative age 21 or older who accepts responsibility for supervision. So the way this exception is set up, it does carve out and does allow minors to be there at park and city properties under those exceptions.
All right, sorry, if I may speak again on that then. Again, as you stated, if it's part of the sport or an organized event, what happens if the event is over and the kids still want to stay out? And it's also, if a sibling is 21, it's kind of like going to go watch a rated R movie or something, you know, you have to have a guardian to go with you. But this isn't a movie that's showing, you know, things that shouldn't be shown to kids. This is a park or a playground, you know, something where we just go out to have fun. So I would just like to understand, it's like, how are you going to tell a kid, hey, you can't come here anymore if they've violated that multiple times? Thank you.
And I would just respond that the way that this is worded, that once the city-sponsored or permitted event ends, then the provisions of the ordinance would apply.
Can I speak on that again?
We need to hear from,
Well,
David, will you come forward?
yeah.
Let's hear from different people. Let everybody have a chance to speak, but they can speak.
It's just a 40th, so.
I rise to object to this ordinance as well. I hate to be continually contrary, but I have read this ordinance, and I think that some of the conversation around it raises a question to me that I would like to know if each of you have actually read this ordinance, because the conversation is not matching what I have read in this ordinance. I think too that there is a divide, a class divide, or a different segment of the population that I think y'all's experience with parks is very different than mine. So if this is something that y'all are seriously considering, then we have very different experiences with public parks.
Who else? Yes, ma'am. Can I?
Good evening. My name is Gwendolyn Davis. I am the daughter of the man that used to really do everything for this city, Mr. Talmadge Merritt. I have had children to go to this school. They've all graduated, thank God. But I will say this, as a mail carrier for a lot of the people that I see here, and I have been their carrier over a lot of times, especially you, Mayor Graham. I want to say about the kids here, they do need something here. They shouldn't have to go to Alabaster, to the YMCA up there. We need to fund something down here for them, to give them that structure. When I grew up in Calera, we grew up as a family. The village took care of the kids that didn't have anything to do. They took care of us. Because I was one of those kids that I found something to do. I found things positive to get into. And there's a lot of positivity that we can have created down here. Especially, I've been in Calera all but 3 years of my life. I am 60 years of age now. And I have been here all but 3 years. And I've seen a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of the ways other cities treat their children, treat their youth. They have things for them to do. They create positive things for them to do. I haven't seen Calera put that kind of effort into the kids as of yet. And especially when I've seen Calera at 2,500 people. And now we're what, over 30,000? Or roughly, right at it. My thing is, if you create the situation for the kids to do something positive, you'll find that you won't have as much of these kids going around to these houses, kicking in people's doors, because that tells me it's a lot of laziness, it's a lot of nothing to do. Get some YMCAs down here, or get a YMCA down here. That would be big enough to house the kids that we need to have here.
get you some park activities going on down here that the kids will be able to participate in. If y'all need me for any given thing, all of my kids are grown. My baby is 29. She lives in Prattville. But I will tell you this, everything that she had going on in her life, her mama knew about it. I'm not gonna tell you that my child won't do this, my child won't do that. I never told anybody that because I never know what my children may get into. But I will tell you this, they had structure and they had a lot of these people. They were my village. When my kids were out there, if somebody saw my child doing something wrong, they're gonna let me know and they're gonna tell my child, look, I'll tell your mama. They cut it out immediately. The problem we have nowadays is that we got a lot of these parents don't want you saying anything to their children. And I'm gonna tell you this now. Me as a mail carrier, when I see my kids up in Waterford doing something wrong, they're gonna tell you, oh, that's the mail lady, she gonna say something. Because I am. I'm part of that village that helps keep these kids in some type of decent order. And that's what we need. We don't need kids being unsupervised, yes. I totally agree with that. But if we have structure, they're not unsupervised. They are supervised by the people that you place over these activities that they're doing. And you will find that a lot of kids will want to come to Calera because guess what? Calera got it going on. We got a YMCA, we got a movie theater, and they have kids' night at the movie theater. We need all of that. Until the council sees this, you're gonna continue to have the same problem year after year after year. Let's get it together. Let's work together. The council and the community. Let's all work together to keep our kids on the straight and narrow. Because it's too much happening now. Thank you.
Chief, I know that you were a proponent for this. Can you kind of discuss and give your platform of
Yeah.
what you did?
Yeah, our reason for bringing this up, it really goes back to the early football games last year. We had literally hundreds of kids back behind the concession stand, most of them younger kids, multiple fights. It was more than we could handle. And then I know recently, as Seth pointed out, on our movie night, we had a lot of kids that were dropped off. And then when the movie was canceled, the kids were just left there. Well, we had vandalism at the park. And we did see it on our video, but we can't monitor all 150 cameras at the same time. And, you know, we go back and investigate it, but it's a little bit overwhelming, the numbers of kids who are left unattended. And when you get that many young kids together, unfortunately, bad things happen. And I'll just tell you, my fear too, you've seen on social media some of the things we've had with young people with guns. And I'm worried about something like that happening. And regardless of where we go from here, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you what I see out there and what I'm afraid of. And I think that we've stepped up, you know, our number of officers at football games and that sort of thing. But you remember last year when I came and talked to you after that first preseason game when we had the real big problem with the huge group of kids. After our first preseason game, there had been 13 shootings at high school football games in the U.S. after our first preseason game. I don't know how many happened throughout the year last year. Several of those were in the Southeast too. And it's my fear that it was getting beyond our ability to control. Honestly, we're not that interested in, if kids want to come to the park and they're not causing any problem, we're probably not going to be aware of it. If nobody calls and complains, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Our concern, though, is when you have large numbers of kids dropped off at these events like Seth has, or football games that are very young kids, 15 and under, that are unattended. And when they get in large groups like that, we have problems, and it's too much for us to handle. And again, I'm worried that at one of these events we're going to have a shooting. I mean, we've had Glock switches recovered in Shelby County, and they're easily available to kids, and you know, it'll fire full magazine in about 2 seconds. And something like that happens with a big group of kids, I just feel like it's my responsibility to do everything that I can to make sure kids are safe. I agree with what people are saying. Kids need things to do. They need supervised things to do. YMCA's, all that's great. That's all great. I got nothing against that. But what I'm really seeing at these events are we're seeing fights and vandalism, and I'm worried. You know, we just had 2 high school kids in Alabaster go up to Nashville and get murdered, and you know, I just don't want to see something like that happen to our kids.
The verbiage of this resolution. So it needs to specifically say events, so they can have the ability to do what they need to do for unruly, unsupervised kids without parental, that don't have parents there. The verbiage on this resolution is saying parks, period. If you read it, the verbiage needs to be fitting for what he's saying. There are other cities that do actually have an ordinance like that. Birmingham is one. They have curfew. But the verbiage for this resolution is wrong. If you're gonna put an ordinance on children at events, so our officers can handle them the proper way without any restraints as far as going ahead and removing them and then contacting their parents, because we already know there is a touch and go when it comes to minors. But at this point, that the verbiage is incorrect. It needs to specify. And also, if you do this, you're gonna have to put that and post it at fields or even at the park. That's something you're gonna have to add into, and that's gonna probably be also a resolution within the code for minor contact when it comes to delinquents. So you need to think about this before you put that in place. But the verbiage of this right here is incorrect. Because what you had, like he said, it's not, that's my first time seeing it. It wasn't publicized. So here I am looking at this and realizing after talking back and forth, that is ridiculous for a 16-year-old at any park or any, public area. That means that they can be walking down the street and leaving from a park. Not saying that that's what they're gonna do, but it's just the fact that that verbiage needs to be specified in those specific areas that he's requesting. And I understand that because they do need help. Especially when, as a parent myself, I've been at a football game before. And you try to help someone else's child, especially when they think that you're a kid. So yes, but they need specific, let these parents know that, hey, your child is here, they're under our supervision, and if we see something, we're gonna remove them, and then we'll contact you. But that needs to be handled, and the verbiage needs to be changed. So before I would table this and then come back to help our officers and our first responders, or even our people at these events have that say so. Thank you.
And Mayor, if I could be recognized, if we could scroll down an ordinance that's up for display to section 2 where it says prohibition of unsupervised minors. The section there says, 1, it shall be unlawful for any minor under the age of 16 to be present in or upon any Calera City Park, playground, or recreational facility without adult supervision, whether during regular hours of operation or during organized events.
The word events is in there many times.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I would just like to, I've heard it several times from the audience also, that we keep using the number 16. The ordinance says under 16. 16 to able to drive, you can drive yourself through the park as long as you want to if you're 16. But the ordinance, this ordinance does say under the age of 16, so you're talking 15 years old. We're not even permitted to drive.
And this is the first reading of this, so if it needs, if the council wants to have a second reading, we can do that if you unanimous consent. Anybody else? from the floor? Have any questions or comments or suggestions?
Do we have a curfew time?
Pardon me?
Do we have a curfew time, for the young?
We have hours of operation of the parks, so we don't have overall curfew in
Oh,
the
okay.
city.
I have another question for Dee. Dee, would you explain what you said? You have a child that's, under 16?
Well, no, my child's now graduated, but his did not turn 16 until the end of his sophomore year. So as a freshman or a sophomore, with this ordinance, he would have been 14 and 15 years old and not been able to attend the school football game without a parent chaperone. And a lot of times the high school kids look forward to that first line of independence. And that's why I was suggesting grade level for you guys, and because everybody turns birthdays different times of the years, and you want to make sure your student body is included in a school activity.
At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing, and the council can take action. We can have a second hearing, and this will be on the next agenda. If you don't want to take any action tonight, so here's Fulton.
You have a motion. You got a motion for a second here?
No, that would be the, sorry. That would be the default. You don't need to have a motion for a second hearing. If you wanted to suspend the rules, that would take a motion, and then you have to have a second, and you have to vote on it tonight if you wanted to. But if you do nothing, then it automatically would go on to the next council meeting for the second reading.
All right. We have guest, we have Blake Atkins.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Hopefully we can get back on a bright note here. First, before I begin, I just want everyone to know about an event that I'm going to talk about here in a moment that happened on July 2nd. I know everybody's probably aware of it. It's a incident that originated up in Pelham and ended up down here in Calera on our interstate. So first, what I want to do is I want to express how happy we were with the way the Pelham Police Department conducted themselves and their officers conducted themselves. This is their case. It's their case that it originated there. It just happened to end up in Calera. The Alabaster Police Department, their officers, they showed immense teamwork in helping take this person off the streets. The ALEA, the troopers for the state of Alabama, they were, right in there alongside every one of us, and all four of our agencies worked together, which is, I feel like it would be safe to say that we showed teamwork that was second to none in getting this individual off the streets. The reason why I'm going to begin talking about an individual that is in our audience tonight is because of his actions during this event and how he alone put his life directly in the line of fire, so to say, but for our citizens here in Calera. So without further ado, I'm just going to read. So first, I want everyone to I want to express my deep respect and pride for one of these dedicated partners in our law enforcement. It is Alabama State Trooper Chad Knowles. Chad Knowles is with us right now. As a matter of fact, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Chad, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to join me up here as I go over this. So on July 2nd, 2025,
Pelham Police Department initiated a pursuit of a suspect driving a stolen vehicle. The pursuit proceeded southbound on Interstate 65 through the cities of Alabaster and then into Calera. I'm sorry, I lost my place. All right. As it became evident that this suspect had no regard for public safety, he was endangering officers and innocent motorists alike. Multiple agencies joined into the effort to try to get him off the street. At the 228 mile marker, which is right down here where we were having a discussion about earlier, Trooper Knowles was strategically positioned to deploy spike strips. These are what helped to disable the suspect's vehicle. As the suspect neared the exit ramp, he veered off-road due to excessive speed. He dangerously crossed over Highway 25 at the top of the ramp, and he re-entered I-65 via the northbound ramp. Trooper Knowles remained in position and ready with his spike strips. As the suspect approached, he appeared to realize that Trooper Knowles' intent was to try to stop him, and then he made a chilling move. He directed his vehicle directly towards Trooper Knowles in what appeared to be a deliberate attempt to strike him. With no time to spare, Trooper Knowles threw himself into the right lane of traffic, avoiding a direct hit, but still being grazed and struck in his lower extremities by this vehicle. In that moment, many of us feared the worst, that we had lost a member of our law enforcement family. Incredibly, though, despite his injuries and the pain that Trooper Knowles was in, he rose from the pavement, he returned to his cruiser, and he did not stop. He did not quit. He knew the threat was still present, and he resumed the pursuit. Just want to take a minute there to take that in. He resumed after being hit and thrown himself to the pavement. As the chase continued in Chilton County, the suspect recklessly crossed the median and began traveling back northbound, heading into Calera once again. Trooper Knowles repositioned himself by crossing the median, bringing himself right into the front of the pursuit at this point. Now leading, he prepared to take a decisive action. Near the 233, which is the mile marker going northbound, with no civilian traffic in the area, and that's a very delicate thing. I just want everyone to, when I say there's no traffic in the area, that is something that you have to look for, because we have to have regard for every motorist whenever we do any maneuvers like what was performed. Well, Trooper Knowles, he was able to execute a flawless, and I'm not even going to try to say what PIT stands for, but I'm sure that everybody knows what a PIT maneuver is. All right, he was able to perform a flawless pit maneuver, and he was able to bring the vehicle to a safe stop. The suspect then fled on foot, but was quickly apprehended by Trooper Knowles and assisting officers. Throughout this dangerous incident, Trooper Knowles willingly placed himself in harm's way to protect the public and his fellow officers. His courage in the face of danger, his refusal to give up, and his steady resolve reflect the highest ideals of our law enforcement. Most of all, he demonstrated unwavering faith and strength, which he has contributed himself to his belief in God, whom he draws his courage and purpose. I am honored to serve alongside Trooper Knowles as a partner, as a friend, and as a brother in service. So on behalf of the Calera Police Department, I want to extend our deepest gratitude and appreciation for his heroic actions and continued dedication. Everyone, just thank you very much. Oh. Thank you for getting a photo. This is the official.
expected, try to hold it together for a minute. I'm not one, excuse me, I don't want any limelight. I didn't do anything. Did you, or you, or you, or me? We're all called to do what we do. We love our community. Even though, and we're blessed to be in this community, and in the region of the country. I'll just say that, okay? There are a lot of places where police officers are not liked at all, okay? We love what we do. We love the people that we serve. Unfortunately, there are this small group of folks that they will not follow rules, and they do not care about your safety. They don't care about our safety. What happened out there, I truly believe God was protecting all of us, including the people sitting in this room. Tell you how small this world is. When the guy was in Pelham and they were pursuing him, he almost hit one of my relatives broadside. I had no idea about that until a couple of days later. You just never know who might be affected. So this man right here was on top of the guy right after the vehicle came to a stop, and he was one that got bit and stuck with a syringe. Lieutenant Atkins. And so I commend every one of you. And I want to thank you for not running me over when you threw me out the road. But anyway, I owe you guys a debt of gratitude. I'm proud to serve alongside of you. But I didn't do anything special. I just did what we all would have done. And let's stay in the fight, you know. And I'll pray for that man. You know. But thank you.
Thank you for that, Blake. Very good. All right, next on the agenda we have Natalie.
Mr. Mayor, city council members, good evening. My name is Natalie Rouse, and I'm here on behalf of the historic First Baptist Church Cemetery, once known as the Old Colored Cemetery. It is one of only 2 documented African-American graveyards in Calera, Alabama. And on March 16th of 2022, it was added to the Alabama Historic Cemetery Register. This cemetery was founded in the late 1800s during a time of hardship, resilience, and quiet strength. Within its grounds rest formerly enslaved individuals, community elders, military veterans, and visionaries whose legacies risk fading from memory unless we act to preserve them. The landscape tells their stories: hand-carved stones, simple markers, and over 150 unmarked graves. Their presence known only by the sunken outlines and differences in ground cover. Each burial is more than a resting place. It's a reflection of dignity, family, faith, and community. About 6 months ago, I discovered this site. As I walked through it, I immediately recognized its historical significance. I learned that First Baptist Church of Calera, which owns the property, has cared for it quietly and without fanfare. But I also found that a fire decades ago destroyed the cemetery's only records. And in the 1950s, the land was bulldozed for reasons still unknown. Despite those losses, I felt compelled to do something. I've documented every grave and built an extensive database using archival research, physical evidence, and family testimonials. 144 with identifying markers, 63 known graves with no markers, and a minimum of 150 sunken or otherwise unmarked graves right now. Likely more yet to be discovered. Today, the First Baptist Church Cemetery stands not only as a burial ground, but as a cultural landscape, a place for reflection, for research, and for renewal. It is still an active cemetery with burials as recent as this year. Among the oldest graves are those of Mr. Prince Eland and his wife, Clara Lanier Eland, great-great-grandparents to the church trustee, Raina Wicker, who's connected to at least 25 other individuals buried there. There are lives here that shaped Calera, families with deep roots, names we cannot afford to lose. My hope is that we come together, family, community, city leaders, and local businesses to preserve this site and its stories. Because to honor this cemetery is to honor ourselves and to honor Calera. Let us ensure these grounds remain a place where memory lives, not just in stone, but in story, in stewardship, and in solidarity. I have submitted a detailed set of goals and plans along with my application for permit to the Alabama Historical Commission to begin working on the preservation of First Baptist Church Cemetery. I've begun some initial preparations and I've identified some resources. However, the most integral aspect of this project is funding. And that is where you come in. We, the friends and family of the First Baptist Church Cemetery, are petitioning the city for funding. I plan to submit grant applications to several entities in the coming years, but most of those are at least a year out and none are guaranteed. My best estimate is that this project will take the better part of 2 to 3 years and will require, I estimate, no less than $75,000. We are asking the city today to please consider a one-time sponsorship of $3,500 for the historic marker sign and an annual commitment in the first year of $15,000 and $10,000 in years 2 and 3. Monetary commitment. And access, if possible, to any city resources that may help bring down the costs that will be ensued. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Do you have any
It's a
questions?
good time for us to be able to discuss that through our budget work sessions. So you will stay tuned as
Yeah,
we go through
and
that.
gladly
Do you
that
have
will
any
answer any
questions?
questions.
I wanted to add, though, that First Baptist Church is a part of Calera Main Street. Those people, they're here tonight, a lot of them, they were the ones who were present at the meetings, that volunteered, that put their sweat into helping Calera become a designated city. Would you stand, please? We have some of the church members here tonight. So this project is very vital to our community because it's a part of Calera's history. So I would deeply appreciate, we would, any type of consideration during our budget meeting toward this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions for me?
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I know this council will be committed to.
Yeah, they're part of Calera Main Street, excuse me for cutting you off, but I can't say that enough. They were there, helping me. They were there when I asked them to show up for any and all meetings, they represented. They showed up for Calera. They were here. If it was evening, morning meetings, somebody representing First Baptist Church was there in those meetings. If it was in the evenings, if they worked, they showed up for the evening meetings so that we could have better for Calera, so that we could show Alabama that we wanted to be included in the Main Street program. So I I just wanted everybody to know that we definitely need to give this project all the consideration we can.
You got a question?
Yes, I'm more of a statement as well. If you don't mind, before you leave, can I get your contact? Because we have the same scenario with our church, New Mount Moriah.
Yes.
Have a great cemetery across the street next to the camper place.
Yes.
And it's pretty much the same identical situation. And we have looked into trying to gather and get information. I have some information. I've been over to the county. I would love to connect with you on
Absolutely.
this. All right, thank you.
And one more thing, the church is celebrating their 156th year. Is a part of Calera's history, and we want to honor those people that have gone on before us that are in that cemetery. It needs a lot of maintenance and restoration.
Yes.
Okay? That's
Thank you.
Thank you. Wait, I think, Brenda Wicker, did you want to, you have just a few things you wanted to echo?
She's being shy. Come on.
She is. She had a few things
She hadn't changed a bit.
John, you know me. She's been my partner in crime on this mission, so.
She is.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members, and all of our community that's present. First Baptist Church, Calera, was established in 1869. Those individuals saw there was a need in the community to provide a resting place for our loved ones. So they did this by acquiring this land. We have learned through Natalie Rouse's research that we have a vast history of descendants at rest there, such as former slaves, World War I, World War II, Vietnam veterans, and civil rights activists. We are certified as historical. However, we need to make sure the land is safe for families to visit without running the risk of tripping over broken surface vaults, fallen headstones, rotten fallen tree limbs, and stepping in the anthills covering some of the graves. This place is very endearing to me. Majority of my family resides there. And I think the best thing we could do is to honor them by bringing up the level of care to their final resting place. And I thank you for giving us your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. That thing don't work right.
It's interesting. Thank y'all.
I'll sign it.